job. Thank you.
All right. Who here is either investing, thinking about investing, or has an NFT in their possession by show of hands? Okay, cool. Few. Who here does not have an NFT but now is curious about investing in NFTs by show of hands? Okay. Well, I'm not going to talk to you about NFTs because there are people way smarter than me in this room who can teach about NFTs and crypto. But what I'm going to do is convince you to invest in NRTs. How many people want to invest in NRTs? So I guarantee you it has the potential of making you millions of dollars by show of hands. No takers? Who would like to invest in an NRT? I will have it for sale today. It's worth $1 million. What I mean by that is non-refundable time, right? As much as we like to accumulate assets, the number one asset that we have is our time. And so my topic today is going to be about NRTs, non-refundable time, which is how are we choosing to spend or invest our time in our lives? Whether that's investing in crypto, investing in NFTs, or investing in experiences that fulfill us. But I need to go back in time to start the story. It was February of 2009. Life had gone to shit. All my years of being an entrepreneur, reading motivational books, going to motivational seminars, pumping my fist in the air and declaring I'm a winner, all this stuff, none of it had worked. There I was, father of two, married, pretty much close to broke. Couldn't even afford to pay rent. And I had a $1 million life insurance policy on my name. And in that moment, in February of 2009, I asked myself this question: is my $1 million life insurance policy the way I was going to leave a legacy for my children and my wife? I grabbed the knife. Shivani was there, Yogi was there, and in that moment, I contemplated suicide because nothing I had done up until that point had resulted in anything that I felt proud of. Here I was from an upper middle class family, very well educated, a degree in aerospace, but my path in entrepreneurship hadn't yielded the results. How many of you wish you could go back in time and change something you've either said or done by show of hands? We all have, right? We wish we could all go back in time. So I'm going to introduce you to 3 tokens tonight that form part of a story. The very first token I'm going to show you is the Tardis. Any Doctor Who fans in here, science fiction? I grew up a fan of Doctor Who. This is when I was my 10, 12 year range. And I love this concept of being able to time travel. In 2009, I wish I could have gone back in time. I wish I could have made different decisions about my life. But we all know that time travel is actually not possible. But it doesn't mean that we can't learn to master time. It doesn't mean that we can't learn to become lords over time. But we have to just change the way our relationship with time exists. There I was, February 2009. Thankfully, with the presence of my wife and my children, I realized that suicide was not the option. It wasn't the way I was meant to leave a legacy for my family. Over the next several months, I did a lot of dove back into personal development, went to some seminars. In fact, the seminar I went to kind of really shifted my thinking was one that invited me to walk on fire. Now, this wasn't a Tony Robbins type of walk on fire. This is kind of a low-end version of that. But I hadn't ever walked on fire. I thought, well, before I go, I should at least walk on fire, and then maybe I'll contemplate suicide. Right? But what it showed me is that these moments are so valuable, the good and the bad. We can make investment choices, and some of them are going to work out. Some of the people in this room are smart, young, educated. They're going to go on to become next millionaires and multimillionaires, and maybe even a few billionaires, right? But here's the thing: does it, at the end of the day, really matter? See, we live at a time when we have a lot of connections, a lot of very shallow connection with people. We live at a time when our self-worth is connected to our net worth, where our self-esteem is connected to how many likes and comments we get on our things. So we've given away our power as human beings to the outside world. There I was, my power was given away. I was thinking about suicide. And as growing up as Hindus, and I'm not religious, mind you, but when the shit hits the fan, you kind of turn to whoever's listening. So there I was, we decided to do a prayer ceremony to Lord Ganesh. And those of you who don't know what Lord Ganesh is, it's the deity or the god that Hindus pray to when they want to overcome an obstacle. So there I was with my wife, kind of on the floor, legs folded, doing our mantras, praying to Lord Ganesh. Oh, please, Lord Ganesh, please solve my problems. Please deposit $1 million in my bank account. Because, if I was doing it today, please let crypto go up to 10,000, 100,000, $1 million. Please, because I put all my money into crypto. And I really want it to go up, right? So it's one of those moments where we're praying to Lord Ganesh. And I had this moment in life. I was like, am I really going to accept the fact that there's some elephant-looking god in the Himalayas about to solve my problems, right? And I said, well, probably not. Well, fast forward a year or so, we ended up in India. Myself and my family, when we left the US, we sold pretty much everything. We packed 4 red bags, 3 laptops, 2 kids, 1 wife, and we left. And the reason I say that is because my daughter, right before I came, said, Dad, are you going to tell that story about leaving the country with 4 red bags, 3 laptops, 2 kids, and 1 red bag? I said, absolutely. I wouldn't bring that talk if I didn't. But during that time in India, I came to realize that every single Hindu deity, 33,000 of them, were designed as a token. It was designed to be an education piece, not something to pray to, but something we can learn from. Let me explain. When the sage of India, and this goes back to about 3,000 years, designed Ganesh as a token of personal development, they knew exactly what they were doing. See, to overcome an obstacle, the creature that we most associate with overcoming or being able to push down an obstacle is the elephant. But the elephant can also move through a jungle almost unseen, almost unheard. So they have the ability to actually navigate challenges seamlessly. Now, Ganesh has a large head, which means that if you find yourself in a challenge, that the mental capacity you've developed to date is probably not going to be the same mindset to overcome the challenge. Therefore, we need to develop wisdom and intellect to overcome the challenge. The trunk represents strength of character. So we're always developing strength of character. But the tip of the trunk can pick a needle from a haystack, which is basically intuition. It's the ability to make the right choices. One side of Ganesh's tusk is broken, which is nothing in life is perfect. So if we're looking for that perfect lifestyle and your happiness is connected to perfection, it's probably never going to happen. Ganesh has an outreached hand with an axe on the top, which means if our happiness is connected to material things we have, then the moment that material item is taken away, our happiness goes with it. So never connect your inner happiness to the things that we own or things that we desire. The bottom hand is an outstretched blessing, which is life is the blessing. Right? You don't need anything more than the life we actually have been gifted to realize that we have that gift. That gift is upon us already. Life is the blessing. The top left hand here is an outstretched hand holding a whip. The butt of the whip is what's used to control elephants. So when you ever see an elephant handler, they're using the butt of the whip on the emotional center of the elephant to actually control this big beast. Which means that if we don't have control or management of our emotional senses, they will run wild. You never want to see an elephant run wild when their emotions go off. However, we as human beings also need to be able to control our emotional state. When our emotional state is connected to the rise and fall of Bitcoin, we're in trouble already. Right? Someone just mentioned fear and greed. Right? It's connected to the charts. We've given away our power as human beings to charts, to materialism, and we've forgotten how to stay in control of that. The bottom hand is holding out what looks like a dish of sweets. This is when life is gifting you goodness. But we're so wrapped up in the ups and downs of the blockchain and NFTs that we forget to see the gifts that life is actually outstretching and giving you. Ganesh has a large fat belly. I used to have a large fat belly to emulate Ganesh, but I decided to lose that. But what the belly represents is the ability to digest the good and bad. No matter how good things are right now, the bad thing is just around the corner. No matter how bad things are right now, stay the course because goodness is around the corner. Ganesh has one leg up and one leg down. That is, we are spiritual beings anchored in a material reality, in a physical realm right now. We never forget our spiritual or higher self in this journey. Ganesh At the base of Ganesha is a rat. The rat represents the annoying little things that tend to go wrong in life. However, in life, if we're looking down at the annoying little things, we miss out on the blessings of life. Ganesh sits on a lotus. The lotus represents consciousness, that we are, in some shape or form, all connected through this consciousness net, this conscious net. We may not know each other, we may be meeting for the very first time. The fact that we're in this room together, there's a conscious connection between us all. It may be nothing more than a passing hello, how are you? But for some of us, it may be a much deeper relationship which goes many lifetimes into the future. So understanding the symbology of Ganesh, understanding the tokenology of Ganesh, meant that you don't have to read any book. You don't have to pray to Ganesh. What it really meant, and what the sages of India realized, was that we have to become like Ganesh. When we're facing an obstacle, we simply have to emulate the teachings of Ganesh. Now, it doesn't stop there. There's 33,000 Hindu deities, so you have a lot more learning to do. We'll stop there for tonight. So Ganesh opened my eyes up to tokenology in terms of the symbolic elements of that. So I started thinking, well, how do we start connecting that to education, right? Because in the olden days, they didn't have books. They taught through these tokens. Well, I think we're entering this era where people are going to be starting to transact through NFTs, learn through NFTs. So this is the modern day version, or this is the ancient version of modern day NFTs. The next item on the shelf here is the bee. Now, if you noticed, I dress a little bit like a bee. Right? So why the bee? Why the bee? Right before my 50th birthday, I happened to be reading a book on business management. And the book was actually based on bee behavior and the beehive. Now, there's a lot to digest, but I'll simplify it down to this. The bee defies logic. If you look, the science cannot explain actually how a bee actually flies. Well, I think entrepreneurs, especially Bitcoin investors, NFT investors, have defied logic. They defied the trends, and they are the trendsetters, right? So in many ways, the bee represents entrepreneurship, but it doesn't stop there. See, every bee in the hive has a very unique purpose. Every single person in this room has a unique purpose in this life, right? Whether you're investors building businesses, artists, course content creators, business owners, we all have a unique purpose in this life. And it's up to us to fulfill that potential in that life, right? People in the wellness industry, Dr. Josh Sharp. Anyone's got pain, Dr. Josh Sharp is the person to go to in Vegas, right? If anyone is looking to up-level their life, then come to me. We've got Dave Vernon doing some great work with the vets and stuff. Dave.
Hi, sorry.
I just gave you a shout out and you're like busy.
Busy as a bee.
So great people in this room, so get to know them. Technologists, we're going to spend the breakfast mornings with Jay and his wife here on Sunday. Opening my eyes up to what's possible in terms of the metaverse and incorporating NFTs in the metaverse for children's education stuff. So some amazing people in this room. We've got people who've got some amazing stories. We've got Monique Wade, incredible backstory. Hopefully he'll get to speak at one of these events about his story and resiliency and overcoming challenges in life. But back to the bee. The bee wakes up every morning. It doesn't complain. It doesn't whine. It doesn't think about procrastination. It doesn't turn on social media. It gets on and does its job. The bee recognizes the value of time, because relatively speaking, it only has a few weeks to live. We don't know how long we have. So I want to share with you 3 Stoic philosophies that have become, I've really embraced over the last several months. The first one is Memento Mori. We don't know how long we have. Life could be momentary. It could be over tonight. As a father of two daughters, one of my biggest fears was, will they ever come back from school? Now, I'm not saying that you wake up every morning with that thought, but boy, does it, when you see the stuff that's happening in the news, you've got to wonder, right? My oldest daughter started driving. There isn't a moment that she's out that we as parents don't wonder, will we ever get that call? Life is momentary. But we also take life for granted. And I share that, and maybe not me. I don't take life for granted. Most people I've spoken to, and I've had over 3,000 one-on-one conversations with entrepreneurs, take life for granted, right? Until something tragic happens. So never take life for granted. Memento Mori is the first Stoic philosophy I'm going to share with you. That life is momentary. What does that mean, though? What does it mean to say that we could step out of here and this might be it? This might be the last evening we have together, right? It doesn't mean that we whip out our credit cards and go crazy and book the next vacation, right? What it means is, are we choosing to be the best version of ourselves with this day that we've been blessed with, that we've been gifted with? Or are we going to kind of wake up and basically, we've got another day, we've got another year, we've got another month? Because you don't know. And if we had to be judged, what would happen if we were judged on today? What if your judgment happened to be, how did you show up today as a human being? What are the choices you made today if this was your last day? And what if that's what you carry in with you to the next phase of life? So Memento Mori, life is momentary. The second one is amorphati, which is embrace fate. It doesn't mean that whatever's showing up next it just is. It means that whatever's happened in life to this point, embrace it. Good, bad, or indifferent. Because we can't change it. We can't go back in time. We don't have a Tardis. We can't go back in time. But we can embrace fate as it's happened. And we can embrace the gifts that life has given us. Even though those gifts might seem like a dark time, a bad time, a negative experience, there is something we can take from almost every aspect of life. And the third Stoic philosophy I want to leave you is seize the day, carpe diem. Which is when you wake up in the morning, are you going to seize the day and be the best version of yourself? You're going to take a day off. Because as entrepreneurs, I've seen people take a day off, that turns into a week off, turns into a month off, turns into a year off, and there they are, many, many years later, with dreams unfulfilled. And I share that not as a teacher. I share that because that was me. I've taken entrepreneurship for granted for many years, right? Going from one seminar to another seminar, reading this book and that book. All that's great. And all of that helps build resiliency and helps you kind of overcome challenges. Are we choosing to do the right things today, given that today may be the only day we have left on this planet? Back to the bee.
He's great.
The bee serves three purposes. The bee serves three purposes in life. It serves its purpose, its unique ability in the hive. It serves the hive. It serves community. Are we serving our community? Edwin and Kyle, they're serving their community. They're serving the panda community. Dave serves the vets. Right? So are we serving community? And the third and final thing the bee does, it serves humanity. So how are we, as entrepreneurs, as professionals, serving all three purposes? Our purpose, our community, and humanity. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you.